All right, we'll get started. It is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. It is 6:30. This is the time for the committee meeting for the Northern Lebanon School District Board of Directors. We do meet as a committee of the whole, and I call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda this evening is presentations. I understand from Dr. Messinger that we do not have any presentations, so we'll move immediately to public comment. Interested persons asking to give public comment were asked to notify the board secretary by 3 p.m. today of their intent to offer public comment. The board requires that public participants be residents or taxpayers of this district or anyone representing a group in the community or school district, any representative of a firm eligible to bid on materials or services solicited by the board, or any district employer, any district student. All individuals wishing to participate were asked to register their intent by 3 o'clock. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer, that is me, and must preface their comments by an announcement of their name and group affiliation, if applicable. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 4 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question school directors individually. Presiding officer may interrupt or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Presiding officer may request an individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. I may also request the assistance of law enforcement officers to remove a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of this meeting. I may also call a recess or adjourn to another time when the lack of public decorum interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. And I may waive these rules with the approval of the board. That is from our published policy number 903. We do have 2 individuals that are eligible to offer public comment this evening. Both have registered their intent in accordance with the policy. The first is Mr. Keith Myers. Mr. Myers.
I'm a lifelong resident here. I have some questions about some of the gear here that you guys installed March 26th. Looks like you have a magnetometer. Does anyone know where that is or how it's used? Can anyone tell me? I'm just curious. Anyway, I was here yesterday taking some of my own readings and got over 237 milligauss on school property here. That's 1.5 times the state and safety federal limits for electromagnetic radiation. I think what you guys did here was build a giant funnel in the ground and basically have exposed everyone through your infrastructure and also RF gear that's been placed here in the school that's been put in under HVAC and also other electronic systems to purposefully expose the children and actually the student body and also yourselves right now as to what's going on. These levels need to be investigated. Also, I need to find out, this is calibrated by who? It was given to you guys by I think it was a grant from the state for security. And I have the paperwork here somewhere. Someone was nice enough to let me know. But through my magnetometer meetings yesterday, you're way above any kind of threshold for any kind of safety. You know, children, you're talking about very thin blood-brain barrier. You're talking about leukemia. You're talking about cancer, ALS. And we combine other functions and factors of what's been happening here. I came out as a whistleblower against the DEP in 2023 as to what's happening with weather modification here based on the Pennsylvania National Guard base and the 193rd. I know this firsthand because my uncle was a general there and ran Project Popeye that was a Vietnam War weather modification extension that basically was written the NMOD Treaty, ENMOD, and signed by the United States in 1980. Today, all these factors are Fredericksburg, the military-industrial complex, the amount of people on the board that are ex-military, and the sale of the DMVA that you guys, where's the $4.4 million? Is it an escrow? Who's holding that? Where is it? That's what I want to know. Has this been regulatory capture? Have you guys been any under duress to build a military-industrial facility here instead of a school? I went to East Hanover, and Lickdale and East Hanover were also bought, and also different RF gear has been put on those as well to triangulate over the gap and other areas. You people aren't aware of this, or you are, you're complicit, and that's fine because everything is going to be found out. We're going to issue everything from soup to nuts, basically right to know law about every single uh, mechanical contractor here, every single change order as it regards to RF, magnetometers, any kind of other readings. If you guys have any wearables here that you're using as well, this is oversight that has not happened. Maybe you've been duped, maybe you haven't, but history basically says these close alliances with the DMVA, the National Guard, are absolutely nefarious here. And that's all I wanted to say. So just govern yourselves accordingly. We're going to be watching, and everything's going to be torn apart as far as audits go. So I appreciate your time. Have a great evening.
Okay, next is Christina Ingram. Ms. Ingram.
Okay, Christina Ingram. I have 3 points to make and hope the board members will provide further information. The first is the superintendent's salary increase of over 30 grand. It was introduced to the public on June 2nd. In the June meeting, you advised that it was not something that Mr. Messinger wanted and removed it from the discussion. There have also been many posts on social media advising that Mr. Messinger didn't want or ask for the raise. Over the years, board members have attempted to justify some of the excessive tax increases with the fact that the superintendent agreed to a lower salary amount, which never made sense, but this topic is even more of a slap in the face to the residents. I submitted a right to know request for any communication, personal and business, from board members and administration to determine where the topic originated from. I saw that discussions occurred during several executive sessions. Is it appropriate to have all of those discussions without public knowledge or intent or input? In my opinion, all conversations were not provided since some of the texts mentioned previous discussions and were not included. I will let the Pennsylvania Office of Records handle that part of it. But many residents would like to know why the topic came up, who chose the dollar amounts and why, and how the school board and administrative staff justified any increase outside of his yearly contracted amounts. It was not one of the items listed on the budget, so where will the funding come from? If he truly doesn't want it, why don't you wait until his contract ends in 2028 and apply it to the new applicants? The second point I want to confirm was when the principal position was replaced with one of the assistant principals, will that assistant principal position be eliminated through the previously mentioned planned attrition due to the consolidation of the elementary schools? The third point is about the change order for the tennis courts. Is this 100 grand cost to rip up and redo what is already there? It is another embarrassing example of the lack of oversight on these construction projects. Contrary to many residents who shared concerns about this and many other projects, it was voted to move forward. The minutes indicated that the bid was awarded to the lowest bidder, which was Construction Master Services, at over 378 grand. Adding in this change order makes their total, based only on what the public knows, $507,212. That is well over the highest bid in 2026. How was such a large mistake made again? Was an engineer not consulted before the bid process was started or the approval of the project? I also speak the same concern for the water basin that hasn't worked properly since the installation for the elementary school project. Also, the sidewalk project, which was never completed but was tied to previously approved exemptions. Instead, the school is now paying the township 50 grand to get out of the project, which they tried to use to have the township take over the bill. Bell and Evans graciously offered to take over this project in lieu of a 70,000 projects that was previously assigned to them. They are instead taking on this project of over 300 grand in today's prices, which would have ended up being another costly mistake for the school or a double whammy for the residents of Bethel Township. I hope you take the time to inform the residents and actually discuss the impact of some of these agenda items tonight. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Okay, we will move to items for discussion. Again, this is the committee meeting, so we will be establishing the consent calendar for next week, as well as the items that will be discussed and voted on. It should be Noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. Notices and advisements of these meetings will carry the intent that limited business may be conducted on any scheduled meeting date. Okay, so we will move to item 5. That's items for discussion. That's the consent calendar. The first one, approve the minutes of June 2nd, 2026 board meeting. I assume there's nothing
Yep.
to discuss there. Any
No.
questions? Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Messinger.
Now, number 6, the student activity account, which would be the statements for July, the month of July, and then the cash disbursements will be listed for you as well. As mentioned, the payment of $50,820 to Bethel Township for the roadwork improvements in lieu of sidewalk installation. That sidewalk installation, when it was determined that, when it was asked to be done, the amount that was budgeted would have taken care of a sidewalk, but that sidewalk became, as they studied it, we could not get a plan that existed that would not create stormwater issues for Bethel Township. So Bethel Township wanted to therefore do a number of additional items to correct those stormwater issues where the sidewalk was going to be. As you may be familiar with it, there is land there already. There's properties there. We're going through the properties. There's water at the very bottom of that hill as well, a little tiny creek for lack of a better word. And it became a much, much, much more costly endeavor than what initially was thought. And Bethel Township even made the statement that the district was not, these are improvements and things that they needed to be responsible for, and the district should not have to pay for some of those stormwater concerns through the building of the sidewalk. Bell and Evans did kindly step up. They offered their services to take care of this. They do so much more construction and had the ability to do it in a timely manner, as well as a more cost-effective manner. And they wanted to contribute to the township. They have been doing that for years in terms of being part of this community and offering quite a few things to the community, and including working with us in the past. So they kindly did that, and in exchange, we gave Bethel Township the money that we had initially thought the sidewalk would cost, or approximately, so that they could use it toward another project or this project if they so desire. Therefore, Bethel Township got money. Bell and Evans, out of the kindness of their hearts, did something that they felt would help Bethel Township and us, and we appreciate their time for it. So we're making a donation to Bethel Township to resolve that sidewalk. If you've been down through there, they've already started it and are well underway. And that's why that donation.
Great, thank you. Any questions or discussion regarding any of those items?
Just
Director Krause,
where's
yeah.
the sidewalk located? Which road?
It's right here in Airport.
I
It
see.
connects the end of our property down to where the sidewalk existed in that development.
Anything else? I would just like to reiterate, I appreciate Bell and Evans as a great partner to the township and the district. And so I just want to express my gratitude to them for assisting with this. Any desire from any of the directors to move this to discussion item for next week? Any of these 3 items, 6.1 through 6.3? Okay, hearing none, those will stay on the consent calendar then. Okay, we'll move to instructional.
Under number 7, our annual, we did our elementary library order that is attached for you, and quite a few curriculum items were finished up between May and August. They are listed there for you. If you feel as though you need a little more time, because there are quite a few, I know that I gave them to the end of last week, but if you feel you need a little more time, let me know. I can push specific ones back to September. If not, we'll leave them there for you to vote on for next week.
Okay, any questions, discussion? I would just like to note for the board, I took these documents, downloaded the library purchases, ran them through AI, asked questions, do any of these books have any sort of controversy, anything? And AI really gave a terrific summary. So if you do have any questions, I would suggest you do that. It's a really good way because it's really tough for us to know what every single one of these books is. And found a very, very helpful use for AI. So I just commend that to everybody if you want to take a look. With that, is there any other questions or discussion, any desire to move it to discussion for next week? Okay, we'll leave it on consent and then we'll move to the curriculum.
Okay, facilities, number one, approved Rufus Brubaker Refrigeration, which is a CoStarz vendor, and the number is listed there for you. We had a wood shop.
Did we do curriculum? Did you talk?
Yeah, I just
You
talked about that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then, I didn't offer any comments or questions regarding the curriculum. Are there any questions or discussion regarding the curriculum? Okay, we'll leave that on consent then as well. Sorry, Dr. Mendoza.
No, that's
I
okay.
apologize.
We had a wood shop HVAC unit that went bad. That was not part of the renovation, of course. And so to replace that unit, you can see the cost listed there. So they will replace that and have that ready for the beginning of the school year. It is time we have 5 years through an agreement with Turf Track and Court to maintain the district turf field. And it is time to renew that agreement. They come out every year, they put those black things on and they fluff it and they do, I don't know to the technical terms, to be honest with you. But they maintain that field. They do it annually. And then they also do the GMAX testing, which is something that I know the board had talked about way back when about making sure that was done. They do that GMAX testing as well. Number 4 is actually an agreement here for our movable partitions. They need to be serviced and kept in good working order. Dr. Reese, does that include the one in the learning stairs or just the one in the gymnasium? Do you know?
I was under the impression gymnasium, but I'll look.
Yeah, and that's the one we've had. If that's not maintained, we've had some issues with that. So to keep that in working order, we have a maintenance agreement with them. As talked about the tennis courts, when the tennis courts in the process of being redone, as you know, are well aware from construction here and from some construction at the high school, we have had unsuitable soils in many locations. If you remember here, they had to remedy some of that at a pretty costly number from a change order standpoint where the building is located. And then once again, we had the same types of problems with the basin over here. When they did the tennis courts, yes, they do what they call a proof testing, which means can the heavy equipment get on there to put down the tennis court? When they do that, they drive some heavy trucks on that, and it can only sink a certain amount. And if it does sink a certain amount, then there is not enough. The soil is not suitable to be able to lay the track surface down on that. If they would do so, there's the potential of damaging it when they do it. We tried waiting 2 weeks when there was no rain to see if that would help. It did help a little bit, but it still did not pass. The remedy was to excavate some of the soil, to mix soil with concrete. And again, I'm giving a layman's term explanation, but to mix soil with concrete and to put that back in. Yes, I don't like the cost. It is a prime example of we are in a position now, but we're not 10 years ago. It's a prime example of when things need to be replaced or need to be upkept, that we should do it at that time instead of postponing, because this is a cost that could have been avoided had we done it originally. But that makes this project costly, but there was no other remedy. It had to be done the way it was done. So that is that. And then this is actually the small basin west of the baseball field. Again, not draining properly in order to get that working correctly. There was a change order for that just maybe a month ago, Dr. Reese, does that sound about right? And that is,
It was right after the last board meeting.
yeah,
Just to clarify on the partitions, gym partitions, stage operable walls, and the panel walls. So yes, inclusive.
thank you. All right, and those are the facilities items.
Okay. Any questions, comments, discussion? I'm sorry,
Leave these on for discussion for next.
all of them?
Well, I mean, just with the changing over of the whole computer programs, I feel like there's a lot to
Okay.
read in a short amount of time.
Okay.
Figuring all that out.
Okay. Yeah, we can leave them all in discussion. We can leave the facilities on discussion. Sure. Yeah. Any other discussion tonight? So I assume that the soil, the unsuitable soil test cannot be done until after the surface is removed, correct? As far as we know.
To do it again?
No, no, no. I mean, so we had the tennis court. You
Yeah.
can't do a
You
suitable
can't do
soil
it
test.
until the tennis courts are
Correct,
up, right?
okay.
You can't test it until it's ready to be laid.
Yeah, and that test would have to be done regardless of the contractor, regardless of the engineering. I
Yes.
assume. Yeah, okay.
We would have had this problem no matter who did it.
No, okay, thanks. All right. All right, we'll leave those on discussion then for next week and we can discuss those again. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll move to the agreements then.
Okay. This actually, the parameters were put in front of you by WellSpan. This is the one where we talked about we're going to be having some substitute trainers available to us, trainers when we have multiple events going on, as well as our doctors and everything else. So that is the actual agreement. If you remember, it was at Stock and Leader to be reviewed. We gave you the parameters, but that's the actual agreement. Want to make sure you got a chance to see that. The parameters were approved in June. I don't see anything different that was in the parameters other than it's now in a legal agreement. We have some annual items, especially a legal consortium, which we are a part of. Also our IU-13 technical agreement that we're a part of. We do a VISTA school year educational services contract every year. We also have a dual enrollment agreement with Messiah University listed for you. We have an IU-13 intergovernmental agreement for non-public school services. This is Title I shared services. An affiliation agreement with Wilson College and an MOU between Compass Mark and LSD.
All right, any questions, discussion on these items?
Since we agreed to number 1 already, so what's a yes vote for next week, just so we agree to the way the contract is written?
Which one? Can you pull the microphone closer to you, Director Block? Can you pull the microphone closer to you?
WellSpan
Okay,
Sports
okay.
Medicine. Number 1 under agreements.
And
So is a yes vote, just that we agree to the contract, because we already voted on it, so.
We
yes
have
would be
voted to
just
the parameters. We probably could have put it as an informational item, but just for the sake of making sure that we're doing it properly, because the agreement was looked, yes, if you see something in the agreement that looks worded incorrectly, then we would want to correct that by next week, yes.
did you want to put that on discussion or leave it on consent? Okay, all right. Any other?
Yeah, number
Director Moyer.
number five, are the students who are in the dual enrollment, are they getting reimbursed afterwards again?
Yes,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
yes.
that-
Last year we had voted to keep that.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
We'll have to maybe down the road look at if costs could go up for colleges. Maybe we'll have to look at the amount, but yes, we're going to continue to do that.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, anything else? Okay, any desire to move any of those 8 items to discussion for next week? Speak now. Okay, if not, we will keep those on consent. And then human relations.
Some employment for you. I see Mr. Bruce here tonight. Congratulations to him. He will be joining us as elementary principal for next year. Hayden Dalbert will be joining us in the secondary for math. Megan Gantz is a reading specialist at elementary. Tabitha Minnick is a general education aide, and Sarah Lopez is a general education aide.
Okay. And we have posted the vacant assistant principal?
Yes, we
position?
have.
Okay. Great. Let's just stick with 10.1. Any questions? Any desire to move to discussion? Okay, we'll leave that on consent as well. All right, resignations.
Resignations, we had a building sub. I will just mention to you right now as we speak too, Mrs. Bruce has done a lot of work this summer working with the administration at the high school to revamp the building sub. We've had some success at the elementary. At the secondary, it's a little more challenging because of all the subjects, but at the same time, we want to really turn that into a teaching position. If they're in that position, they're teaching in classrooms, not just babysitting. And she's done a nice job of revamping that job description and looking for folks to fill these roles that we'll be able to do a better job of continuing instruction with a little more coaching and accountability in those positions, because they are important positions for us. So we'll have some names for you, but I wanted to just mention her work with that. Mr. Umberger, as you know, has left. He was the elementary principal. Mr. Oram, congratulations to him, as I believe he is engaged and looking forward to being married and moving to near his fiancee. So congratulations to him. And Annika Pillsbury, who is a general aide at the elementary. We will also, number 3, we don't have any long-term subs right now, but we may between now and the beginning of the school year. We never know that. We have tenure for the following professional staff that are listed there that'll each receive tenure on 8/22. Number 5, we'll have our 2026-27 substitutes listed. I believe they're already attached. Maybe some additions between now and the end of the week. Substitute rates, let's talk about that for a second. Substitute rates is actually an increase. They were $140 a day. That put us lowest in the county with one other school district. All other school districts were above that. We happen to know that that school district intends to go from $140 to $160 next year. We prefer to step it a little bit this year and then a little bit next year to get to where everyone else is. My guess is that the ones that are at 160 will probably continue to go up. But that's where we are right now. So we are recommending a $10 increase per day to that daily rate so that we can do a little bit this year and a little bit next year.
All right. So let's pause there. We've got 10.2 through 10.6. Any discussion or questions on those items? Okay, we will leave those on consent then. All right, moving on.
Yeah, number 7, we'll have coaches listed for you to approve, as well as our list of school bus drivers for the 2026-27 school year. We have a few redesignations. We have Jenny Seaton moving from a special education consultant to supervisor of special education. A shout out to her too, as she recently had a baby. Can you tell us the name? Josie. 2 weeks. And Amanda Albright as well. As well as Caitlin Scalise, who will be moving from a day-to-day sub to a long-term sub for grade 6 for approximately 12 weeks. We have several new teachers that have mentors. There is one TBD there as we are finalizing a math position that Ms. Toman will be a mentor to. We should have that name hopefully for next week. And that's,
Okay.
yeah, that's that.
Okay, 10.7 to 10.10. Any questions, comments, discussion? Okay, if there's none, we'll leave those then for consent calendar as well. Okay, item 10.11, this is the superintendent's salary. Just for background, just for clarity, during the course of the Act 93 process, I had formed a committee to view the Act 93 salary structure and the advancement, which we voted on and approved. During the course of that Act 93 discussion, it was brought to my attention by Vice President Williams, who was the head of that committee, of which I am a member as of right, that in looking at the Act 93 salaries, it was quickly going to put us in a situation where one or more of the Act 93 employees over time would be paid more than our current superintendent under his salary contract. I directed Director Williams to take a look at that and to present a proposal to the board for a salary adjustment for Dr. Messinger. Dr. Messinger did not request this. I would not go as far as to say he doesn't want it, because anytime somebody offers you a pay increase, I assume that you would like to have that pay increase, and I'm not going to speak for him, and I'm not going to ask him to speak. But he did not ask for it. He did not request it. This was something that was identified in the course of our regular business through the Act 93 committee. We are permitted to do this under Dr. Messinger's current contract. It is a specific clause in the contract that permits the board to adjust his salary without renegotiation. And so The Act 93 committee presented a proposal. We did meet in executive session before the last board meeting to discuss that, and as a result of that executive session, it became clear to me that this board had more questions than we were prepared to answer at the time, and it would not be fair to either Dr. Messinger or the board or the community to vote on that at that time. So I withdrew it, and that was entirely on me. I take full responsibility for that. I have apologized to Dr. Messinger because it put him in a very difficult situation. Since then, and I should have announced at the outset of this committee meeting that the board did meet in executive session on July 14th to conduct Dr. Messinger's superintendent evaluation. All members of the board were present for that evaluation. And as a part of that executive session, we also did discuss in detail the proposal to raise Dr. Messinger's salary. It is my strong opinion that based on Dr. Messinger's stellar performance review, not only this year, but for the last 7 years, that a salary adjustment is warranted for that reason alone. And I, for that reason, support this. Everything that this district has accomplished since he has come on board is ultimately a credit to him and his leadership. And I believe that his leadership is a rare style and form of leadership that this district desperately needed for a long time. And we are very fortunate to have him at the helm of this Viking ship. And for that reason alone, I think that this salary adjustment is warranted. But that is not the only reason that we have to do this, in my opinion. The second is that despite my pleading with Dr. Messinger to consider staying on beyond his current contract, I understand that the superintendent is intending to retire as he is entitled to and as he should, if he desires to do so. When that happens at the end of his contract, we are going to have to attract a talented, competent leader to take over this district. Whether that is from inside the district or outside the district, we are going to have to do so. When Dr. Messinger came to this district, he took a hometown discount of his own volition, and it was very fortunate for this district because at the time the district could not afford to pay him any more than what we paid him. That was a credit to him. It was a credit to the board at the time that made that decision, but things have changed significantly. He is so far below the county average for superintendent salaries that it makes finding his replacement at the end of his contract a very difficult proposition. It is possible when we get to that point that the candidate that we hire, whoever that might be, may not require as high of a salary and may be able to go down. Expectation, though, particularly if we hire from outside the district, because the current district salary compensation schedule is not anywhere near competitive, we will have to pay more for an outside candidate. And I do happen to know that superintendents are in high demand, and it is a very extremely competitive process to try to hire somebody. So for us to try to make that adjustment in the future just does not make sense, given all of those factors. And again, I just have to say specifically, Dr. Messinger, to your credit, you have had stellar performance reviews from this board and every board for the last 7 years. So those are the reasons that I believe that this salary should be approved. I recognize that it is a large increase by scale, but it is a well-deserved increase, and I think it is one that is necessary for this district to move forward. And this district has been doing nothing but move forward for 7 years, and I don't think we should move back. So I'll turn it over to other folks for discussion. Okay, any other discussion? Director Williams?
Well, there's really not much more I can add, other than to say that I agree with Director Nauman and what he shared with us. But I will also take some of the responsibility for some of the confusion that took place at our last meeting. Being in charge or leading the Act 93 committee, and realizing that we were nearing the end of the fiscal year and wanted to have all these numbers, my desire was try to have all these numbers ready so that it could be discussed and approved prior to the end of the school year, so it could be directly included into the budget, and it would make it nice and clean. But as Director Nam mentioned, there were some more questions that still needed to be answered and from other board members and things like that. So I want to thank Director Nall for taking some of the accountability and responsibility. So I'm going to do the same. I was partly at fault as well with what happened, last month or at the end of June. But for me, as was already mentioned, Dr. Messinger has been doing a fantastic job for the school district. The district certainly would not be where it is today if it were not for him. And just not what he has done personally, but the team that he has built here at Northern Lebanon. The administration is top notch. The culture and the climate within the school is changing for the good. The teachers that I meet with and talk to on a regular basis as I come inside the building for various reasons, I hear nothing but good things. It's not to say that everything is perfect within the district, but certainly but the improvements that I have witnessed within the district as a whole is certainly attributed to Dr. Messinger's hard work and dedication to this district. So that alone warrants his performance warrants the increase in salary. And again, I echo again the comments already made as far as falling in line with our new Act 93 agreement, which is a 6-year agreement. So I'm thankful for that we don't have to worry about that for the next 6 years. But what we did with Act 93 for those positions and what we're proposing here for the superintendent basically sets the district up in a good way for both retention and recruitment when that time comes. And so something that I've basically been advocating for throughout our Act 93 process and even now. I guess that's just all I really want to say is just sort of echo what has already been said here and propose that we approve it as presented.
Great. Thank you, Director Williams. Any other comments? Director Kreiser?
Just one question, I guess for Ms. Martin, how does the additional cost, is that accounted for in the budget?
Good question.
We did not budget for Dr. Messinger's salary to be at this level in the budget. We actually budgeted $168,000. That being said, we do budget for personnel prior to many times when raises are determined here, because a lot of times they're getting on your agenda in May and being approved after the budget. The budget's pretty much done by the end of April because we have to have it on in the first 2 weeks of May. So that is typical that it happens, that there's fluctuation there. And there was fluctuation with the Act 93 because that wasn't finalized either in time for my budget. So just putting that out there, that this is not the first time that there has been fluctuations in the budget, in what was budgeted for personnel and what was actually determined and voted on and approved by the board after the fact.
So basically, there's some contingency funds built into the salary.
There is, yes. I mean, because we budget for substitutes, we budget for coaches, there is a lot of things that fluctuate. So that yes, we do have some, I don't want to say cushioning, but yes, we do have a little bit of flexibility in salaries for these changes because they are typical to happen. So we do accommodate for those.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion or comments? And I would also note, I did place this on the agenda to be retroactive to July 1st to not punish Dr. Messinger for the board's, for the president's failure to move this along in a timely manner. So with that, do we want to move this to discussion for next week? If so, I will also note that I think Dr. Messinger is not going to be here next week. So I think he will very much appreciate not having to be present for this vote. But is there a desire to move it to discussion?
I think we should
Okay.
keep it a discussion.
Okay, then item 10.11 will be on discussion for next week. Great. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right. Thank you for having to sit through that.
I will just say that it's been an honor to be able to be superintendent in a district that I went to, lived in for my entire life. My parents both worked in, my kids attended, and it's been a privilege to be here. And I'm just glad I had the opportunity to serve. Number 12, salary movements for those folks reaching milestones from anywhere from bachelor's plus 24 to master's plus 60 listed there.
Okay, any questions? Okay, if not, we'll leave that on consent. There are no voting items for this evening, and so the last item on the agenda is information. Dr. Messinger, anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to share the latest MOU between the Pennsylvania State Police and us with you, as well as the 26, 27 school bus stops. We also have some student teachers this year. As you can see, Mr. Kelly with Marco Presca and Mr. Weaver with Amy Allen, and an interning practicum with Owen Jones from Millersville will be here as well with us.
Okay, great. Is there anything else to bring to the board this evening from any director? Okay, if not, since there is nothing else to bring to this board, this meeting is adjourned.